All right, so in this challenge, we're going to implement the map function, or implement our own version of the map function. So there's another video that does the forEach implementation. I would watch these two at the same, like in the same day, to this will really help distinguish the difference between map and forEach. But let's talk about map. So if we have an array of numbers or anything, what we can do is we can call the map function. And here we can pass this a function. So map is going to go through each of these things and call the function on it. And what it's also going to do, and this is where it's different than forEach, is it's going to take the return value of this function and stuff it in this new array. So let's say this function right here that we're passing, this function right here doubles a number. So what we would do is, in the map, we'd have this new array that was created. We just set it to a blank array. And then we would call the function, and for what we do is we'd really just do this new array dot push, and then we would push whatever function was passed, and then the current item. So in this case, it'd be like 1, and then we do this for 2 dot push, function at 2, and so forth. And then once we iterated all of these things, then the map would finally return the new array. So if this function doubled a number, our new array would be 2, 4, and 6. So that's kind of the game plan for implementing this and what map does. So let's go ahead and code it out. Okay, so let's come in here and let's just create a couple arrays here. So I'm going to say let's just call this nums equal 1, 2, 3, and then maybe we have some strings, strs. Let's just do John. Let's give it some names, Sally and Frank. So like the forEach, the map should work on any type of arrays of strings, arrays of numbers, arrays of objects, and so forth. So let's go ahead and define this out. We'll do my map. This is going to take an array of any type and a function. For now, just kind of like we did with the forEach, let's just iterate over these. So I'm going to say let I equal to 0. Just this is how we iterate over arrays. And I'm going to go up to the array.length. And then I'm just going to increment this I. And what this I is doing, this is just keeping track of the index. Because then I can console.log array at I. And then I can come in here and just test this out. It's always good to make these small incremental steps and then test, just to make sure you're not running into any issues. So if I call my map on my nums, looks like I log all of them. So 1, 2, 3. So that's looking good. So, but we don't want to log stuff here, so I can get rid of this. But what I do want to do, as we saw in the illustration, is I want to create this new array. I'm going to set that equal to an empty array. And then we're going to go through each of our things, and we're going to get like the value from our function that was passed to us, and we're going to call that on the thing that we are currently iterating over. So let's just say let the value equals, and then we're going to call the function that was passed to us. on the current thing, and then at the end we can do like a new, we can grab our new array and we can just push on this value. Maybe I should call this value. And then once we get through this, once we loop through all of the things, then we can simply return the new array. So now let's write that double function. So const double num. This takes a number, and what all this does is just returns, you know, our number times 2. So I can now pass this function, and then it's going to get called in my map function. It's going to be this func right here. So this is going to really, once this gets called, we could kind of like illustrate this. It's really going to call double num1, and then it's going to go to the next one, double num2, double num3. So in this instance, when I call it my maps with nums and double num, that's what this is going to look like. Now another thing about my map is this returns a new array, so I can store this into a variable. Let double nums equal this, because this my map, it returns that new array, and then we can console.log that. Double nums. Run that, and there's our array. And notice our nums arrays is still here, and our number array is unchanged. And that's good. That's the behavior of the map in JavaScript. But yeah, this is a useful function, because then all I need to do, like say I want to convert, you know, a string into some HTML, so I could say const convert name to HTML function, or something like that. And then this can take like in a string or a name, and I can return, you know, this wrapped in like a paragraph tag. And then for my other one, like I could say like let HTML names equal, I can reuse this logic of iterating over an array and then just passing it a custom function. So it really is reusing this code, and it's going to keep my code really clean. Oh, I don't, sorry, that's not an arrow function. I can just go ahead and console.log this. HTML names. Oh, I actually wanted to pass this. Well, see, it still worked with my number array. It just went through and, you know, put in the numbers, so that's fine. But I could also pass this an array of strings. I can grab that strings array, give it that, and there we go. And yeah, this is how it works in JavaScript. So I could just console.log, you know, strs.map, and then pass it that function. So very similar what it's doing. It's just creates that new array. It goes through each item in the array, performs this function, and then the return value of this convert name to HTML, it's going to store that into the new array, and then when it's finally done, it returns the array. And there we go. So that is the, you know, implementing our own map function. So yeah, we don't need to do this, and we shouldn't do it, because there's going to be some more checking and a little more error handling within the JavaScript's version of the map function. But writing this out ourselves, like I said, it's really going to help you understand what map is doing. And if you understand how to write like forEach and map, you understand the difference between the two, because forEach doesn't keep track of this new array and return it at the end, but map does. But they both go through in an array and perform a function. So that's where they're similar, and where they're different is what they return. So hopefully that was useful. Yeah, maybe next we'll implement our own filter method in the next video.